Hey everybody, Simon here. So in today's video, I'm going to give you my first impression of the Motorola Razr 2024 model. This is the non-plus version. And when I first got the phone, I noticed that it's a very solid build phone, but it does feel a little fragile. I mean, I'm very careful with this phone because when I first started using it, it does feel like it could easily break. And it does fit on the palm of my hand, like actually barely fit because it's still a big phone. And as you can see, I kind of struggle opening it with just using my thumb. So when you try to open it with one hand, it does take some force to actually open it up. So it's definitely not like the old Razr where you could easily just flip it and open up so quickly. So it definitely takes a little force to do it. And I gotta say, the external display is pretty cool. I mean, it's a nice feature to have where you could basically set up any way that you like it. You can have widgets, you can have like dedicated apps, to be displayed at the front external display. And I was able to like view contacts, like calendars. So it's a very impressive external display for you to use. But some of the apps I noticed there aren't actually meant for the external display. Like for example, like a web browser, it works, but it you could tell that it's not exactly designed for using this external display. So there are a lot of apps that aren't really optimized for this external display. Hopefully there will be later on in the future. Even though I like using the external display, most of the time if I want to use the apps in the full functionality mode, I do have to open it up. I mean, the display is very nice. At first, you don't really notice that crease in the middle, but as you continue to use it more often, yeah, it's going to be very visible and you'll notice it when you're browsing on the internet. Even watching some videos, you'll kind of notice that crease. I'm still testing out the camera and the picture quality, but here are two samples that I took. First one is just a regular picture, and then the next one is using portrait mode. Now, so far, the quality is okay, but having passed Motorola phones before, I know that the camera quality of the photos isn't always great. But right now, it's still in a testing process for me. So I have this phone about 2 weeks now, and obviously I'm still testing it out. I want to kind of use it for a whole month to see what it really feels like. I am a little bit concerned with the processor as well. This is actually like my first Android phone that's not using a Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. This is actually using a MediaTek one, so we'll see how that holds up. And like I mentioned before, the phone does feel fragile to a point where I don't feel comfortable using this without a case. So I did ended up buying a case. And I'll leave a link in the description if you are looking for a Razr case as well. So my first impression is that this phone feels new and yet still feels kind of retro as well. I guess it kind of brought back that nostalgia feeling of using a Razr flip phone because the Razr flip phone was one of the first phones that I used when it first came out. So it kind of brought that nostalgia feeling back as well. But right now, this is just my first impression. I'm going to have a full review as I continue using it, probably sometime around December. But I want to know, what are your thoughts on the Motorola Razr? How has it been for you? What are some things you like and some things you don't like? Leave your comments below. And check out my next video right here.